Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Wixo Season 2. We are now on episode 18 of the series, and in the last episode we did see quite a few things all around the world. However, the biggest thing we focused on was a huge change over here in Moldova. Essentially, in episode 16, so the previous one to the previous one, a new ruler took charge in Moldova. And if you haven't watched those episodes, do go ahead and check them out. And he fundamentally changed Moldova. And he went on many conquests and expanded Moldova's borders very heavily. However, at the very end of the last episode, he was celebrating his 15th year of capturing the capital of Moldova during the war in which he took control of the country. And to celebrate this, the leader of the Egyptian puppet state down here invited him down to dinner, and while Valentin was down at this dinner, he placed in charge of the country one of his top generals, and that was Maxim Rusu. He is currently in charge of the country, and obviously getting to the chase, he was assassinated after the first dinner as he was heading to his room where he was staying in the palace. And very immediately, quite suspiciously as well, after the assassination, we have the governor of the province declaring his independence, which makes it very obvious that he was the one who orchestrated this assassination, as he is a closeted Egyptian national. But anyway, if you guys do end up enjoying this episode, please do be sure to like and subscribe. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on with Moldova, because obviously at the very end of the last episode, stuff happened here, so we need to focus on that now. Immediately after Valentin is assassinated, everything is in chaos. Maxim, who is currently in control of the country, is freaking out. He doesn't really know what to do. And Valentin's nephew, Stefan, who was holding down the borders over here in Hungary, he is really saddened by this. He was very close to his uncle. They went and conquered Hungary and the rest of the Balkans, Albania, together, so he is hit very hard by this. And he is going to go ahead and return to the capital of Moldova and go ahead and meet up with Maxim. While this is happening, however, the Egyptian people who were, they're in support of this guy. Remember, these guys did try to break away from Moldova during Valentin's invasion war, and with the support of this leader, we have the Fourth Egyptian Kingdom going ahead and securing all of the Egyptian areas. At this point, up in the capital, seeing what is going on down here, we have Stefan and Maxim forming an alliance with their armies. Maxim has control over a lot of the armies in the south, and Stefan has control of a lot in the north, as obviously he was holding these areas down, while Valentin was off over here getting assassinated. So, we have the two armies of the strongest men in Moldova teaming up. We also have the third, probably the third strongest person in the country, another one of Valentin's original generals, whom he conquered Ukraine with. His armies were the ones holding off the Ukrainian border, and he also goes down to the capital as well to meet up with Stefan and Maxim. And the three armies coming together and merging is going to be known as the Triumvirate, and the Triumvirate army with the three leaders is going to go ahead and move down to Egypt. While that sort of stuff was happening, it did take a couple of weeks to kind of organize everything going on over here. And while this has happened, not only has the leader of the Fourth Egyptian Kingdom continued to expand, defeating a lot of these bordering armies, a little bit of turmoil is spreading elsewhere. Specifically in the north, some of the recently conquered Ukrainian areas are getting a little bit rowdy, so we have some garrisoning forces being set up here. And also, the Queen of Italy is a little bit concerned because Valentin was her greatest ally, kind of a political tool on her part, and he is now dead, so she is, she's looking at the fact that there are now three pretty strong guys over here in Moldova, and, let's just say she's got her eye on them, and we'll have to see what that leads to later on. But for now, we need to focus on this war down here. So, the Triumvirate armies reach the Egyptian forces right at the coast over here, and we have the first battle taking place. And if it wasn't obvious, then, Moldova is a lot stronger than Egypt. Unfortunately for the Egyptian ruler, his plan didn't go exactly to success. He hoped that the unexpected death of Valentine would cause enough destabilization for him to have enough time to kind of form up his country. However, the triumvirate army forming up was not something that he expected, and because of this, he loses a major battle, causing Sinai to be severed. He actually is still in Sinai and flees back to the city, where he escapes on boats to the country, and this city is captured. We then have the first of the major Egyptian cities settled in for a siege, and we have Stefan move his portion of the triumvirate army down the coast and actually able to capture this city. Up in the north, we have Maxim and the second general capture this city and then move over to the well, this is the largest populated city in Egypt, and it's kind of where a lot of things are being run from. Obviously, this is the capital, but it's not the best city down here. This one, however, lots of people, lots of food, and it'll be very bad to lose. So we have the other general move up to this city while we have Maxim moving down, and Maxim and Stefan actually go ahead and meet up their armies, encircling this area over here, before then launching a spearhead to this city. They do this for two reasons. Number one, because it's another city that they can capture. Number two, this will cut off this city, making it even easier for them to take. And this goes extremely well. Stefan and Maxim work very well together, and the other general up here is able to capture this city once it loses food supply from being severed from the rest of the country. After this, we have a huge chunk over here going ahead and falling over. These guys were never too interested in breaking away in the first place, and well, it didn't really last long for them. We have the three guys go ahead and move their forces down the Nile, as this is the only really remained of the populated areas, before heading towards the capital. And during the capital, the leader of the Fourth Egyptian Kingdom decides to actually stay there, where he is captured and he is held as prisoner. And shortly after this, this kind of takes the wind out of the sails of this country, along with it being 7-2. We have this country officially surrender, and we have a triumvirate victory. In this settlement here, this puppet state is, well, let's just say, not very nice things happen down here. A lot of purges take place, and it's not a nice place to be. And the puppet state is gone, so now Moldova only has two, obviously being Trebizond and the new Hungarian one. But the leader of the Egyptian state is sent up north. He is carted to the capital of Moldova, and he is actually skinned alive. Yes, a little bit extreme, but he is literally skinned alive, and then he is stabbed by 10 swords at the same time. Very, very torturous, I guess. But these guys really want to punish him because, these guys really liked Valentine, and they are very annoyed about this because he brought stability, and all three of these guys, and obviously when I say these guys, I'm talking about the general up here, Stefan and Maxim. They all liked him, and they are furious at this guy. So he meets a pretty gruesome fate. But after this happens, we have, would you guessed it or not, a little bit of a struggle for power take place. There are now three very powerful people in this country who all want a piece of that pie, and let's just say it may cause a little bit of chaos, and the triumvirate peace may not last very long. But anyway, we can come back and look at that later, because for now we need to go elsewhere. Over in this new country over here, we have it expand a little bit. However, these guys, while they are starting to get fairly large, they really do not have that many people. They essentially have just conquered rapid amounts of land. And what they decide to do to kind of strengthen themselves is they actually kind of take their forces, which are very nomadic, and they actually launch many raids into these countries, more specifically Korea, this guy, and Shandong. So these three aren't too pleased with that, obviously so. And over here, we finally have the Australian countries meet up with everybody else. Well, I mean, this isn't as big of a deal as the old world meeting up with East Asia, because there's not really too much going on down here. Everyone's reaction is like, oh, cool, there's some guys down here, I guess. Now, you might be thinking, disease is obviously going to spread down here, similar to what happened up in East Asia. However, that actually isn't the case. The diseases that were kind of spread over here, a lot of them have really died down since. Now, while I am definitely certain there would be a lot of pathogen transmission between the two areas, it only causes minor outbreaks. of some diseases in certain areas, and it is not as bad as the extent of what we saw over here before. So these guys kind of get away a little bit scot-free. But what this does lead to is Burma is like, wow, okay, more people to trade with, I suppose. So we actually have a lot of more funding be placed by their dictator into colonization of the Indonesian islands. We have them set up a colony on northern Timor as well as a few of these surrounding islands, and this is their first permanent colony over here. Or, well, they hope it'll be permanent. They also conquer a lot more of this island as well. And this island over here, which had previously been a kind of we both won't take it to so we don't raise tensions. We actually have Burma just going ahead and taking it. They are confident that Borneo will not retaliate, and they don't, so lucky them. Although Borneo does expand along the coast a bit more over here. We also have some of these newer countries continuing to expand, just forming themselves up a bit more. And we also have a new country in the south of Borneo go ahead and form up. Over here, we have the Indus country continue to go ahead and expand. They have more and more ambitions over the Persian area. It's land for the taking in their eyes, and they just continue to go ahead and move up to this area. And after a few months, probably up to it, maybe it'll take a bit more of a year, we have them conquering all of the rest of this area. So, hooray for them. Now, are they finally done invading countries and just kind of sticking to invading sort of tribes now? No. They launch an invasion of this small green country, which only recently formed up, and unfortunately for these guys, they've only lived for about 3 or 4 episodes, and they did they did establish themselves. They formed a little bit of culture, but unfortunately, Indus is hungry, so no. And at this point, Indus does begin to slow down on the expansion. They have expanded a lot over the last few episodes, and they don't want to become like very unstable, and they are happy with their amount at the moment. So we have these guys sort of chilling out for now. Taking a look at the ideologies layer, we have this country over here convert into a constitutional monarchy because a lot of their buddies down here who they are friends with because they have the same religious values, they have a lot more pro-people ideals, the people get to decide some things. So these guys want to adapt to that as well. Over in Africa, Spain, who has now, well, they don't have any more room to expand in the peninsula. We have them begin some conquests of Morocco. They invade a very strong group of Moroccan tribes and continue down the coast. We also have Carthage do some of the same, but they kind of expand just into the interior of the continent. This brown country, which hasn't done anything in ages, goes into a civil war, because why not? As we have this area breaking away. Essentially just a rival leader, and this country begins to lose a lot of their inner lands because they are really not coping with it very well. And after a while, with a lot more tribal invasions coming from the south, we have this new country just being like, oh, well, that's free for the taking then. And they go ahead and conquer the country. Up in the north, however, we are not going to be seeing some expansion, we are going to be seeing some loss of land, as, unfortunately for Normandy, they have just gone through a little bit of an economic crisis. They have dealt with some runaway inflation, and they have really struggled. Well, they've done fine keeping themselves stable and everything. They haven't really done the same thing in England, though. They are prioritising their mainland over their colony, and because of this, we see a little bit of a rebellion break out. We have these guys in the north go ahead and decide that they want to do their own thing, mostly because they are being mistreated. But we do have this group decide to go ahead and break away, and the Normandy army is quickly manned up, and they are sent over to northern England, where they begin to push the rebels back. We have this city be captured, which causes a lot of morale loss, and overall the Normandy army is quite strong, and the tactics of this force are not too bad. So after a couple months of fighting, we do eventually have this rebellion not only be split in two, but also falling over. So while Normandy did manage to defeat this English rebellion, a lot of the people in England are still not big fans of Normandy at the moment. Over here we have the Swedish country continue to expand, so that's good for them. We also have a little bit more of the coast over here go ahead and be mapped out just by sailors and everything, but there are really not many people living over here, as you can probably tell by this huge unclaimed area. We do have Italy conquering a few of the mountainous Alp tribes. However, they are struggling because now the Queen of Egypt doesn't have the advisory of Valentine, so she is not doing as well anymore. And it's funny we should mention that because, like I said, she is looking for a new ally, and a new ally in Moldova. And let's just say a few things have happened while I've been focusing on these other events that, well, they may allow her to possibly gain an ally. And that is the triumvirate has completely broken down. Stefan, Maxim, and the other general, they're all a bit power hungry, I'm not gonna lie. And it is actually revealed in Valentin's will that Stefan, upon his death, would become the new ruler of Moldova, and that did not settle very well with Maxim, and because it was said that Stefan would be the ruler, and Maxim wouldn't be. Maxim challenged that, and this caused a huge fight. And at this point, Maxim realized, the first out of all three of the guys, that it's going to be a fight for the power over who gets control of the Moldovan Republic. So, essentially, what we see happen is we have because the Senate goes with Valentin's will, because they were essentially just a Valentinian puppet, they go ahead and side with Stefan, and they declare Stefan the new Chancellor for life of the Moldovan Republic. And just 2 days after this, Maxim and the other general disappear. And very interestingly, they go ahead and take their armies with them. And if it's not obvious, we're about to be seeing a little bit of a civil war. As in the south, where Maxim has a lot of control over the Turkish areas, we have him declaring the new Moldovan Republic as he forms his own breakaway state, as he wants control over Moldova. His main force is over here in the Turkish areas. However, we quickly have a lot of the Levant areas going ahead and falling over to him. And after a I say very quick, literally all it is, he sends a boat down to the capital of Egypt, tells the regional governors to side with him or die, and they side with him. And all of a sudden, Moldova has just split in two, but it actually gets worse. As in the south, we have the declaration of the independence of the Greek state. Essentially, the third general, he's like, okay, well, these two guys are going to fight it out, so I will as well. I'm fairly popular in the Greek sort of areas because I'm actually half Greek, so I'm just going to go down there and lay control, and I can do that because Moldova's unstable. Normally he probably wouldn't have been able to do this, but he does now. And just like that, Moldova has split in three. And Stefan is very annoyed by this, but he believes that he can, come out on top, but so does Maxim and the other general over here. In terms of the capitals of these countries, we actually have the new Greek state's capital be over there, and the new Moldovan Republic is going to have their capital, let's put it here. Pretty arbitrary. They just choose a large city that they can easily govern the whole country from. And another thing we have happening, like I said earlier about how the Italian queen, she is looking for a new ally, and seeing the fact that Moldova has just split in three, she is thinking, I have an idea. If I support one of the three guys over here, then not only can I gain them as an ally, but with our combined strength, whoever she decides to ally with, we have an extremely high chance of winning this war. She is confident that not only whoever she allies with will be a strong ally, but will also win the war with her, and she begins to see who she believes will be the best potential ally. And essentially, we have the Queen. The Queen thinks that the strongest of the three is Maxim down over here, as he has the longest experience in fighting and was Valentin's right-hand man, his strongest general. So we have the Queen of Italy reaching out with Maxim and actually going ahead and forming an alliance between the two. And this is very concerning for Stefan and Greece down here. But we will have to see how much this affects the war. As for now, we will get into the fighting. So, immediately we have Stefan move his main army down into Greece, as this is their biggest threat, as it actually borders them, while Maxim is separated by water. However, that doesn't last for long, as we pretty early on have Maxim launch a campaign over here across the lands. He lands in Thrace, and he also lands down south, quickly meeting his army up with that of Stefan's. We have also them invading into some of these Greek areas, actually meeting along the coast with Greece and fighting them as well. And we have a sort of three-way battle happen at this city, which Stefan actually wins, pushing Maxim's forces back, although he is fighting over here right now, and he is able to capture this city. And it is at this point where we have the first battle actually between Stefan and Maxim take place, and it is right outside the city over here. And during the battle, we have Maxim pull out a victory and almost capture Stefan himself, and it is looking very good for Maxim right now. We also have the first Italian campaign over here into parts of Moldova. However, well, let's just say Stefan, he has his own generals, and we have one of these generals move over here and start slapping Italy around, quickly moving in and actually capturing this city and cutting off a huge area. The Queen is a little bit concerned about this, but, you know, she's just hoping that down here, Maxim can, you know, pull through and help her out. We have these guys continue to go ahead and push up, and we have Stefan losing several more battles, and it is very apparent that not only because they are allies with Italy, but also because of his expertise, Maxim is very clearly the strongest force in this civil war, and we have him going ahead and continuing up, now starting to get into the more core regions of Moldova. Down in the south, we have Greece move up a little bit further. However, these guys, as you can probably tell, are not the strongest. They do manage to make a slight gain in. However, then something very concerning happens for them. We have an Italian naval landing go ahead and take place, and this is extremely bad. This is a huge core part of Italy's army, and this worries Greece a lot. And we essentially have a huge retreat of armies up north, causing a lot of victories for Stefan, and this is only just to push back the Italian armies barely. Well, they still managed to keep hold of this city. But up in the north, this is quite good for Stefan's armies, as they are able to do quite well over here. Up in the north, we also have a continuation of the pushback of Italy on the mainland. However, down here, Maxim is still doing very good, as he continues to push back the armies of Stefan, now even reaching into some of the core Greek areas. He also captures these islands, and he continues to move up around Thrace, now into Bulgaria proper. At this point, Stefan is getting a slight bit concerned. However, he does manage to score a major victory, actually encircling the second largest army of Maxim's forces, and he loses about 30,000 troops here. And this really does cause a little bit of a domino effect, as it allows many more victories for Stefan over here. And you gotta remember, whilst Stefan has lost a few battles to Maxim, he is still a very strong military-minded general. He was very helpful to Valentin during the conquest of Hungary. Over here we have Greece continue to get pushed back. Then we actually have an Italian force meet up with Moldova. And, well, yeah, that happens. And we have a continued push in over here, until eventually these front lines begin to halt. Back over here, we have a little bit more advance over here by Maxim, because where Stefan is where Moldova is the strongest, and Stefan is over here. So this gives Maxim's forces a bit of an advantage. But we have a second battle. This is the second time that Stefan and Maxim have squared off, together in one battle. And this time we actually have Stefan pull a pretty good victory for Moldova, pushing the new Moldovan Republic back. And this causes a little bit of disorganization, causing the loss of this city over here. And at the same time, down over here in Greece, we have the continuation of the invasion in, now pushing to the capital. Down in the south, we have a second attempt of any Italian naval advancement, taking over, instead of the core Greek areas this time, some of the Greek islands, and this is also really good for Italy and Maxim, as they now have complete naval dominance around this area. I mean, Moldova itself doesn't have anything going on over here, to be honest, so all of these waters are now under the control. Like, the only areas where Moldova has the advantage are the Black Sea, where a few naval battles actually are happening near to the Constantinople area. We have a naval landing by New Moldova on this island, and we have Italy landing in the very south of Greece. And unfortunately for Greece, we actually do have their capital be captured, and immediately these guys are pretty defeated, and that is one member of the triumvirate down, two left. And with this down, this is actually really great for Stefan, as now he is only fighting a two-front war. Before he was obviously fighting three fronts, He is in the middle. He does have the largest army and population and industry, but that three-front war did make it a bit difficult. But now that he's only fighting two fronts, one of them not being ridiculously strong, he believes that he can do pretty well here. Not only do we have a little bit of a pushback in the northern Greek areas, but we also have a pretty genius strategy by Stefan. He launches a surprise army through the Caucasus to invade the northern sections of the Trebizond puppet state, and this catches Maxim off guard, as this is a new front opening up for him that he, well, obviously did not expect. This causes a lot of disorganization over here, further and further kicking him back, and Stefan is starting to do extremely well at pushing Maxim further out of Thrace. Down in the south, we have a huge naval battle, actually one of the largest ever, between the Moldovan naval forces that have kind of come from Greece. They've kind of rapidly built some naval forces up here, and we have them meeting up with the Italian Navy, scoring a pretty big victory, although they do lose about a third of all of their ships, and this leaves the gateway to this island open, causing them to lose it as well as some of the surrounding areas. Crete does stay under Italy's control though. And up in the north, we have a pretty clever campaign take place. Essentially, what we have happen is Italy is pushed to the Alps. Essentially, what this does is it makes it hard for Italy to kind of fight on this front line, essentially giving Moldova some natural defense so they don't have to focus too much on this, so they can send a lot more troops down to fight Maxim down here. But it also encircles this new Italian area that they've only just claimed, and a lot of it is, the troops have to fight from all sides because down here they're fighting from Moldova, and up here they're fighting tribes who don't like them, which makes it very easy for Stefan's forces to quickly move in, and just like that, they have pretty much, they haven't defeated this second front, but they have managed to stop it. And at this point, these sides of the war have turned, as previously Maxim had the advantage, but now it is in Stefan's court, and he is able to do extremely well. He severs the armies in two, Maxim flees over here, and this army over here is defeated, and we have one final battle for the Constantinople area at this city, and during this battle, we see a Maxim defeat. Stefan comes out on top, and this is huge, as it officially kicks their forces out of mainland Europe, which is a huge win for them. We have this invasion over here continue, however, eventually it does slow down, as we have Maxim himself come over here for a little bit. But now we have arguably the most important battle of the entire war take place. Throughout this war, Italy and New Moldova have had a huge advantage with their navies. Their navies are allowing them to not only communicate and, meet up with each other so they can fight as one group, but it has also prevented any Moldovan sea naval invasions. And Moldova needs to beat the navies here, because if they can, not only will they have severed ties between Italy and New Moldova down here, they will also be able to now launch any naval invasions that they would like, preferably into Italy, but also into Turkey itself. And this battle takes place right north of Crete, as if they take Crete, they can sever once again, they can just sever the lines, and then these guys will be very much disconnected, making it harder for them to fight the war as one consolidated thing, which they have been doing up until this point. The two navies line up, and essentially what we see happen is we have a little bit of a battle of quality and quantity. As I have mentioned before, Moldova has the larger industry than New Moldova and Italy combined, actually, so we have the quantity be on the side of Stefan. He has about double the amount of ships that Maxim and Italy do. However, the Italian ships, not necessarily New Moldova ships, but the Italian ships are extremely strong and armored, so they have, the superiority in terms of the strength of their ships. But due to the sheer amount of Moldovan ships, as well as a little bit of cowardice, and you'll see what I mean in a second, we actually do have Stefan win this battle. Essentially, after just a large amount of ships have been defeated by just being overrun by too many Moldovan ships at once, we have the Italian queen, thinking that the battle is lost, very cowardly flee her ships from the battle. And this causes Maxim to freak out, and he is actually on one of these ships, and during his attempt to retreat, he is caught off guard by the lighter, smaller, faster Moldovan ships, and he is actually captured as prisoner. And with that taking place, as well as the anti-Moldovan navies being defeated, it's not going to be very good for Moldova's enemies. Crete falls, and due to the fact that they no longer have their leader, we have a rapid invasion take place. Now, they probably would have gone for Italy first, just from winning naval battles, but they want to take advantage of the fact that New Moldova no longer has their leader. Trebizond, seeing the writing on the wall, decides to say, hey, I'm sorry, can we be friends again? And Stefan thinking, if these guys stay as our loyal puppet state, we won't have to conquer this area. Sure, why not? So we have Trebizond to be let off the hook, and they switch sides. And just speeding it up a little bit because it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. We have just a rampage. Stefan, he's pretty good, and now with Maxim being gone, well, he's not dead, but he's captured. It's just not even a chance for these guys to fight back. We have the capital of New Moldova be captured, which is not even in Moldova, so that's nice, I guess. And after this, we have the surrender of New Moldova. And the only place left is Italy, which, after having a naval invasion take place in the south, we have the Moldovan forces storming up the peninsula, and eventually they reach the capital city of Italy, where we have the Queen agree to peace terms, and just like that, Stefan has officially asserted his control over Moldova. And during the peace talks of the war, we have it kind of be thought that maybe we should just have one leader. This triple power system not only caused us corruption in the original Republic days, it has just caused a civil war, and we have the Senate decide to completely change the power system, and we have Stefan be crowned the first ever emperor of the new Moldovan Empire. The Moldovan Republic is officially replaced with the Moldovan Empire, and with that, we can now go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty. And this is what we go ahead and see here. So, other than map changes, there are a few other things we need to discuss. But first of all, obviously, all of Moldova is reunited under Stefan, the first Moldovan emperor. And in terms of border changes, we have a huge amount of Italy being annexed, and the rest is converted into a puppet state. They also get Corsica, a proper part of Moldova. Both the Italian queen and the ruler of Greece, the other general, they are actually not executed. They are both just sent into being private citizens. The Italian queen is sent to Rome down here, and the guy in Greece kind of just lives in Moldova now. He's given a nice house, so that's kind of Stefan. However, one person who Stefan is not very kind to is Maxim. What happens to Maxim? Well, they go on a nice trip down into Syria, and essentially what will happen is Maxim is tied to 4 horses, and the horses are whipped and told to run, and they drag Maxim across the floor, and he kind of just gets blasted on the ground, and he dies, so that's a little bit cruel. Some other things we have Stefan do just to clear out his ruling. He remembers that Valentine and the Italian queen had that illegitimate son a few years ago. He is about 8 now, probably. He's executed. He does not want any competitors to his reign. We officially do have Moldova properly be established as an empire, and a line of succession ruling is established, so it'll go to his son once Stefan passes on. But yeah, so that is a pretty huge change in Moldova there, and that is actually going to be it for this episode. So once again, we did focus a lot on Moldova here, because they are the country kind of doing the most in the shortest time frame. However, do not be afraid, the other countries will be focused on a lot now that Moldova is already kind of established up. But that is going to be it for this episode. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.